here is another video of the early 90s Lasko 16-inch desk fan, model 3151. So this was bought in the midwinter season, and I was originally going to use this fan for parts for the 1994 Lasko 16-inch stand fan, the 2116. But it actually turned out that I didn't use it at all, but because of the condition it was in, I just decided not to part it out, and it still worked fine. Nothing was brittle. Everything seems to be in good shape. The only thing was that this thing did see a lot of use. The grills were corroded, and the motor was almost full with dust, and the badge was losing its luster. So I did have to clean it all that. I just recently polished the grills as well, so it looks a bit more newer. I spray painted the badge because, as you know, it requires airbrush to actually do it correctly, which I didn't have, but it looks nice still. So I would say this fan was made around 1991 to 92, based on the information I got from the front motor cover. So it uses the old style blade hub from the 80s, the older style blade cap. It's got the another thing that tells me this thing is from the early 90s is the type of motor that it has inside the motor cover. The motor cover is also an obvious sign that this thing is not from the 80s, and it's due to the length. The length of this motor cover is pretty much the same as the motor covers used in the mid 90s to the 2000s. Also, this neck bracket has a slight different design from the previous ones. I mean, it uses the screw in case you want to remove the head in order to remove the wires inside here, which is nice. I wish Lasko could have kept this one, but no. But yeah, uses the same base, same motor cover. Everything else is pretty much nostalgic to the 80s. I gave it this badge, and that is because the original one I messed it up. And if you remember in that original video of this fan, the thing was silver, and what happened was that thing just split apart, and it was a piece of metal, and I could not do anything about it. So yeah, so I went to the local library and I made a new badge on Microsoft Word. So here's the pamphlets, and it's very simple to do. All you gotta do is like fiddle around with the background of the logo itself. You gotta look for the correct one though. So yeah, it now uses the logo that was used between 1993 to 2007, and the one it originally had was like the logo used between the 70s and the 80s. But other than that, I actually looks much better. So that started on speed 1. Speed 1 on this one is very quiet, and the airflow is already immense. And this thing has a very steep pitch to it compared to its successors. I like it. I wouldn't have been using this fan if it hadn't been for the height. It's very tall for the place I would use it in, which is why I mostly use the Lasko 2016. But otherwise, this thing just looks very grand. It has the grand appearance, not a very commercial type design to it. Well, anyways, here is speed 2. And I can just feel the immense increase in airflow on speed 2. It's not even running that fast. It's like high speed already on other fans from this era. And now for high speed. Yeah, it's a shame Lasko couldn't keep this blade design because the airflow is it's very powerful. And it's very quiet as well. And you could just hear that thing roar. The only thing is that the blade is out of balance. And I don't know how, but it just is. So if I stay still, you might see it vibrate a little bit. But it mostly cancels it out. So I could kind of see it vibrating on the camera, but it is vibrating. That just shows you how unbalanced the blade is, and it might have to do with how it's placed in, but it's apparently something to do with the pin shaft. So what happened is that if you push the blade too much inwards, the shaft would just like completely morph the plastic, and that's what happened with this blade side, which is why it's out of balance. Well, either way, let's turn on the oscillations. Just from the camera, you could just hear how much powerful this is. Back to low speed, or should I say back to speed 2. Sorry about that. Yeah, this thing has huge variance in speed. I don't know why Lasko decided to mess up with the motors in the later decades. And they didn't even try with their latest models. And even if they do try, they just jack up the price, which is incredible. Back to speed 1. Yeah, you can just hear how quiet this thing is on speed 1. It's just as quiet as the Panasonic fan I have, which is pretty much the 2150, the 12-inch version of this fan. Well, I'm going to shut it off now. And for a spin down. Those bearings are really good despite the size of that shaft. Those ball bearings do wonders. But either ways, please like the video and please comment down and tell me what you think. But for now, that is the Lasko 16-inch desk fan 3151 from 1991 to 92. Thank you for watching.